Hey guys, welcome back to Clownfish TV. This is Kneon. I am here with Geeky Sparkles.
Hello.
We're not canceled yet.
Well, even if they try, it doesn't really matter.
Yet. They try. They try every day. We're going to talk about cancel culture and how Hollywood is now pushing back against cancel culture because I think they realize that if everybody gets canceled in Hollywood, there's not going to be anybody left.
Right. Well, it's all okay until they come for them.
Right. And so a lot of celebrities that were actually advocating for people to be canceled are now coming out and saying, hey, this is going a little too far, cutting a little too close to the bone here.
Or I know that person they're trying to cancel. That person's actually not a bad person. Doesn't matter.
Right. And so this topic has come up in the last couple weeks, especially, and I think a lot of it is because of the Chris Pratt situation.
I agree.
A lot of people like Chris Pratt. Personally, they've worked with Chris Pratt. They can vouch for him that he's actually a pretty good guy, but he refuses to come out and endorse a particular political candidate.
Which again, I will claim and say, because it's true, it's his right to not endorse anyone or make public statements, just like it's all of our rights to vote for who we want and not have to tell everyone who it is we vote for.
Right. And, people, they're just looking for a scarlet letter to pin on someone, and then they move on to the next target. That's the thing. How this works is cancel culture. It's usually you're roasted on social media, usually Twitter. 95% of the time it's Twitter.
Twitter's just, God. Anyway, go ahead.
And then the media picks up on it and they run with it and they get a bunch of clicks on it. And then once this person is completely destroyed, whether it's their career or their family or their emotional state or mental health or whatever, they just pack up and move on to the next victim. Mm-hmm. It was, for them, it was Tuesday, Well,
we see the same thing in animation. It was like they double down and defend whatever the hot animation is that week, Korra or Voltron or She-Ra, and now it's Kippo. And these media sites just, well, this new show is better than the last one, but you said the last show was better than all the other ones.
They're all the best.
It's like, it just moves. They're like locusts. They just move from one field to the next.
Yeah, and look, are there some legitimately shitty people that there needs to be a spotlight on their behavior, like Harvey Weinstein?
Yes.
Yeah, but if somebody has a slightly different political view, or maybe they said something 10 years ago that was would be considered problematic today.
But then again, it depends on the person. If it's somebody they like, they'll forgive it. Oh, people make mistakes. We should forgive that. If it's someone that they're out to cancel, then it's an inexcusable offense. And how very dare they?
Yeah, and it's insane. And a lot of news outlets are covering it now. Forbes was covering it. They said the brands used to be very hands off, like they would not get involved in politics, but now because brands have gotten too political, basically. Now they're sort of forced to pick sides with all this.
Because Twitter tells them to.
Right. And that's the thing. It all comes back to Twitter, doesn't it?
How about we just stop listening to Twitter? I mean, easy way to make your life better, to make the world a better place, to bring more peace and unity and kindness and everything to the world. Don't listen to flipping Twitter.
Yeah. Twitter's a cesspool. I didn't realize this article was written by Douglas Ernst.
Oh, okay.
Who kind of got canceled. He is a YouTube commenter. He comments mostly on comic books, and he found himself being put in a Marvel comic as a Yahtzee by a Marvel comic writer.
It doesn't matter if you are or not, just because they decide you are, whether or not you are. I love how you're supposed to respect and appreciate and everybody how they identify themselves, whether it's factual or whatever, it doesn't matter, but their self-identity is what you have to respect, unless you disagree with them. And then they can label you whatever the hell they want because they're them.
So this is interesting. So Robert Downey Jr., we talked about Chris Pratt. He went to bat for Pratt, that rhymes. But he's also telling people, I guess, to delete your social media.
I don't disagree with you.
And I think, we've talked about this before too. I think for sure I'm going to pull back from Twitter because it never fails. I get sucked into some stupid, ridiculous Twitter argument that does nothing but waste time and cause us to be angry for the rest of the day. And then you realize the person you're fighting with, again, that for them, it was Tuesday. You're probably one of 15 people they're fighting with.
Black hole of time waste and bullshit.
Yeah, so Downey said on Tuesday, the sinless are casting stones at my brother Chris Pratt, a real Christian who lives by principle, has never demonstrated anything but positivity and gratitude. He just married into a family that makes space for civil discord, just plain fact, insists on service as the highest value. And he was blasted. So was Mark Ruffalo. Some comments include literally, WTF, he's a Trump supporter.
So what?
He never said he was. That's the thing. Chris Pratt never.
Well, yeah. First of all, he never said he was, and even if he was, so what? Just like if someone's a Biden supporter, so what? Does that make them less of a person? No. God, why? Twitter keeps associating. If you disagree with them on any point, you can agree with them 99% of the things, but if you disagree on one point, then you suddenly are the worst person ever because you don't agree. This is the opposite of free thought and free speech.
Yeah, and it's, we said before in the Chris Pratt videos that we'd done before that this is a very scary place, because what they're looking to do is build lists of disagreeable people in Hollywood, for whatever reason, and then they're going to start purging individuals.
Right, but at that point, then you just have everybody left that agrees with them. And then what a boring world that is. But they're basically saying we know him personally, and he's a solid person. And this is what we've been talking to for months. This whole idea that if someone disagrees with you, that automatically you label them as an isterophobe or a bad person, and people are like, oh, because you voted someone different than I voted for, I'm no longer your friend. I might have known you 20 effing years, but I'm going to publicly denounce you on Twitter. Hell, all Kneon did was mention that Marvel numbers are down and maybe we should be worried about it. We didn't even know anything about Comicsgate at all. And immediately friends and people that we actually knew in person suddenly unfollowed us and wouldn't talk to us anymore. And we didn't know why the hell that was an issue. They know us.
Yeah.
I could label, just because someone says something on Twitter doesn't mean you know them. Somebody's your friend in real life and you know them. We have people that we know personally disagree with us, and we're still friends. Because it's totally possible.
Yeah.
The internet's saying it's not.
The internet is. It's just scary how fast all of this has escalated, that you're not even allowed to associate with people who might be accused of wrongthink, that had the scarlet letter. I mean, we used to sit down and talk. And again, we got sucked into all of this, YouTube and all of this, because we noticed that this was going on. We saw it in our own circles. Again, we have a background in comics and animation. We've worked around these people. We did the convention scene for years. We knew a lot of people working in and around the industry. And, we really didn't pay much attention to what was going on Twitter, because we're not really very political people. So we weren't really paying attention. But in the last couple of years, it was like, they were starting to sort people into different categories, and these people are problematic and these people aren't problematic. And we're going to watch these people over here. And we wound up on the receiving end of it accidentally. But one thing that we don't do is grovel. So, I mean, we could have been like, oh, golly, I didn't realize that this was an alt-right Yahtzee thing and I shouldn't do it. Oh, please forgive me. No, fuck you. If you don't like my opinions, fuck you.
Yeah, we're not changing this because you're threatening. I love this one comment. He's a Christian as Trump and every other Republic, KKK. And okay, I'm having some comments. Again, these people are making this comment. Do you understand? No, that would require intelligence and research. Not everybody who's Christian, just because you're Christian doesn't mean you're against every minority ever. That's a load of shit. There are a lot of religions out there who are against people that are different, LGBTQ or whatever. But just because you're Christian, you can be an atheist and not like people, certain race people. You can be racist, not like certain people. I mean, this is dumb. And if I'm not mistaken, wasn't Biden friends with somebody that was higher up in the KKK?
I believe that was
I'm just saying. Yes, either way, you can find skeletons in everyone's closet, no matter who they are.
And that's what we're going to talk about here. And I think Hollywood knows all about skeletons in the closet. So I think they're trying very hard now to be like, well, maybe as long as people show some change, some general repentance, maybe we should let
repentance
them back
by their standards. That's the thing that's bullshit too. And just because you're a Republican doesn't mean you're a KKK person. We're not Republicans, but we know a lot of people who are, and not one of them are KKK affiliated.
So the irony in this is this behavior, this shunning, is very religious cult-like behavior.
It is very that you act like the people you're complaining about. More so.
Because in some churches, actually, if you are accused of a sin, they will confront you. And if you don't repent, then you're cast out of the church until you repent. Your friends and your family are not allowed to talk to you. That is some denominations, not all. But I'm just saying, this is a very religious take for people that are supposed to be against religion.
Everything they're saying is wrong on how people that are religious do these things and they're wrong. They're doing the exact same damn thing.
So this is what Downey Jr. said. He said, if you take issues with Chris, got a novel idea. Delete your social media account, sit on your own defects of character, work on them, then celebrate your humanness.
Exactly.
Take the plank out of your own eye before you.
If people would invest half the energy these dumbasses spend on social media trying to cancel everyone, and that's on both sides. And trying to find who said what and who made what digression they shouldn't have had or whatever, and they didn't like it, and they're going around canceling them and trying to start up shit storms and everything else. If they took half that energy and invested it in helping others or doing good or trying to search the internet for things they can volunteer with or they can help or they can do whatever, can you imagine what a better place this whole world would be? An actual demonstrative increases in things, not just like social media, which is all virtual and bullshit. We're talking like real, actual things that can be done that will better everyone and improve it and help everyone. If you're yelling and screaming about, well, you're canceling this person, that person, go out and help these groups. Don't just, I'm helping on Twitter. No, I mean actually physically go there and help. Go to these churches you don't like and see what they have to say. Go to these places that you feel you agree with and actually say, what can I help you with? And I'm not talking about protests. I'm talking about actual real trying to find solutions, change.
You mean actual activism instead of
Twitter activism?
Instead of Twitter activism? Yeah.
Instead of just sitting there, put your money where your mouth is and get off your ass and go work at a food pantry or go help the homeless or go do something to help other people.
So a lot of actors now are being sort of policed by the thought police here. Dennis Quaid, of course, I believe he's Republican conservative. He posted a video on Sunday with the caption, "No good deed goes unpoliticized."
That's right.
He's feeling some outrage and a lot of disappointment at the cancel culture media. Matthew McConaughey, I know they tried to trick him. Mm-hmm. I remember that a journalist was trying to trick him into spouting off on his political beliefs, because that's what it is. It's a litmus test. They're basically trying to get you to out yourself as, a Trump supporter or whatever, so they can blacklist you from Hollywood. And,
it's stupid. You can support who you want to support. Basically, if you have to bully people to agree with you so that you win, then maybe you got some problems. And that's what upsets me, and that's why I'm listing as independent now. I'm not even listed as Democrat anymore, because I can't stand by and watch bullying on either side just to try to get people to agree with their points. And if you don't, they're going to shun you, bully you, call you names, cancel you, or whatever until you agree with them. And I will never stand for that. So I will now list myself as independent.
So Democrats used to be the party of the Catholic Church, actually. A lot of Catholics were Democrats. I don't know how that's going to go now. But yeah, Matthew McConaughey, apparently he's a Christian. He said, you can't erase someone's entire existence. Where the heck does forgiveness go? And I'm going to talk about that because I was very surprised. Sarah Silverman, of all people, talked about this. He also shared his experience as a Christian in Hollywood. He remarked how people would pray with him, would often hesitate to clap when he thanked God while accepting an award.
Right, because you do it when private, but when people are looking.
That's the thing, and that's what's so phony about this, because I think there are
Hollywood's phony in general.
A lot of people pretending to be someone they actually aren't because they're afraid of being canceled.
Right, and just because they publicly tell you they're going to agree with you and vote the way that you want, doesn't mean they're actually going to do that. You do know that, right?
Yeah.
Just because you're trying to shame them and use fear-mongering to get them to side with you, that doesn't mean they're going to side with you when it actually counts.
Yeah. Yeah. And so it continues.
So maybe just don't do it.
Now, this is ridiculous. This is, panic over cancel culture is another example of right-wing projection.
Wait, you're making it up? You panic over it? But every other day it's cancel so-and-so on Twitter.
It's every day. And it's people that...
Facts are a projection, a right-wing projection.
And they're canceling people who were, quote unquote, on their team. That's what it's like. That's the thing. It's okay as long as your enemies are being canceled. But that's the thing. This has to be applied evenly. If there are rules for cancellation, if somebody has to do something really egregious to be canceled, then that has to be
equal across the board.
Yeah, it has to be enforced equally on
because it's not about equality. It's not about anything of real. It's just about bullying. It's about getting their way. It's about revenge, not equality.
Now, it's funny. They've got, this is a right-wing thing. Well, here we are in CNN, which is a left-wing news site, saying that Hollywood cancel culture is real.
No shit.
Because it's Nick Cannon now. It's very easy to cancel people who are 180 degrees from yourself if you think there's some raving lunatic, right-wing nut job or whatever. You can point to them and be like, oh my God, they're just ridiculous. Let's cancel them. And everybody would agree with you. But when it starts to hit home, I kind of like Nick Cannon.
Or I kind of know these people personally, and they're
Chris
not
Pratt.
the people they say they are. Because at the end of the day, you're allowed to have your opinion. And you know what? People are all different, and they may agree with you on most things. Doesn't mean they're going to agree with you on everything. And that's just the way the world is. If everybody was the same, what's the point? You know? So and that's all they want, is they want to assimilate. They want to Borg everyone. And, and as long as you understand your place and you're beneath them and you follow their leadership, then it's okay. And I'm sick and tired of it. And I don't care if you're right or left. If you're a bully and an asshat, knock it off.
Yeah. Authoritarianism is authoritarianism. It doesn't matter which side of the aisle it comes from. Sarah Silverman. This was interesting. This was actually sent to me by
She wore clothes for this one?
She's wearing clothes for this one.
Okay.
She is. But it was an interesting video. Black Sage D sent this to me, and I watched it. And she's talking about how cancel culture has gotten out of control, and that she's got a friend that used to be a legit Yahtzee. And he turned it around, and now his life mission, I guess, is to get people out of that. And she talks about how the reason people were driven to groups like that is because they're actually accepted and loved in these cults. And that's, as someone who was part of a kind of a dodgy Christian organization in my youth, I can tell you that is basically how you're recruited. They're like, let's look for broken people and bring them into the group. And even if the group might be wrong-headed, they're going to willingly come, and they're going to basically just give themselves
right. If you give them the one thing they want, whether it's real or just lip service to get them to do what you want, they're going to fall on the sword every time to defend you because it means so much to them, which is really sad, and you shouldn't do it anyway. I mean, you should reach out to people legitimately because you actually care about them and you want to see them be better and okay, not because you want them to fight for you.
Right.
I know some extremist groups that use the exact same tactic.
Yeah, they're against you, and your family's against you, but if you come with us...
If you join our cult and leave your family and all your friends behind.
Yeah, and that's what happens. You get into these groups. I'm not just talking about, the yachts. I'm talking about any kind of controlling organization.
Yeah, any kind.
Okay? And that could be a political organization. It could be a religious organization, whatever. When they basically ask you to lose yourself and give yourself to that cause or give yourself to that leader, you're going down a really dark path. But they're going to make it seem very attractive. Oh, we love you. You're on the right side of the things.
If you don't fall for it, then you're just then they're going to make your life hell and bully the shit out of you.
Yeah, exactly.
So they can try to wear you down to agree with them. And this isn't just politics thing. It's like you said. It's in many different areas of society.
It can even be companies. There are some companies out there that are they basically think they own you. Well, we talk about Disney all the time, and we joke about, Disney employees drinking the Kool-Aid sometimes. But the thing is, their corporate culture is, you have to be 100% loyal to that company. And there are other companies like that too, but.
Well, I was going to say about the time we talked to the one agent, and the first thing they did was for 2 hours try to tell us everything that was wrong with us to make sure that we understood our place and that, and bully and belittle to try to get you to be like, but you need me. Pledge your allegiance to me and I'll get you what you want. And we refused to do that. Yeah. And that ended up being a problem.
Yeah, we actually were agent shopping. We were shopping graphic novels around, and we talked to a number of pretty notable comic book agents, and the one we talked to, that person was basically give up your individuality and I'll take you on, but you've got some pushback, and that person was very, very butthurt when we got another agent. I was like, well, you know what?
You said no, so
you said no. And I remember having a conversation with that person being very, very upset. Basically I knew you were going to be trouble. It's no, we just want the best deal we can possibly get.
But anyway, back to the point. It's just now that's coming for them. Now it's a problem. Now they're seeing it. Cancel culture is all great until it starts coming for them and their friends. And then wait, you're trying to cancel this person, but this person isn't bad, and people shouldn't be punished for their whole life over mistakes in the past, which I agree with. People shouldn't be punished their whole lives for mistakes in the past. However, People should be allowed to have their own individual thoughts and have their opinions and be allowed to vote who they want to and not be bullied for it.
Yeah. Here we got Andy here saying, as a California liberal who was canceled, I did follow folks who showed me love and understanding, wound up being conservatives. They didn't change my beliefs. They opened my mind to be less judgmental. Now those liberals wrongly labeled my new friends as racists.
We get labeled that all the time.
We've run into this too. People try to label us as being right-wing or alt-right at the worst, or Yahtzees at the very worst. And the reality is we were actually part of the liberal comic book group for years, you know, and because, you know, we were willing to listen to other people, because we were guilty of wrongthink, deviation, we were cast out. Now, what you're supposed to do is you're supposed to go back and beg for forgiveness to get let back into the club. And at that point, when they let you back in, you basically get to do the dishes. You're never going to be, they're never going to, you know, lift you up.
And it's just like what we're guilty of is believing in rights and equality, but believing that everybody is equal, no one trumps anybody else. Like, you're not going to be, you know, pun intended, with using Trump.
You
like,
said Trump.
I don't think that I'm less than somebody because of how I identify, any more than I believe I'm better than somebody based on how I identify. And I'm not going to just vote the way they want me to or automatically believe things they say when I see things that aren't true. I'm watching people getting vilified over TV shows, over effing movies, because you didn't like it. And that's what started this whole thing. And the media, oh my God, they keep pointing out saying that so-and-so is the reason why the country's divided. It's like, no, the media can just go look in a mirror, because I can tell you right now that the reason that there's so much division and so much hatred and so much fighting, you can trace right back to the media.
Yeah.
And all we do is call that shit out. So of course they're saying we're bad people.
Tomorrow Never Dies. I keep bringing this up, the James Bond movie, but the whole purpose was they created catastrophe to capitalize on catastrophe. So they had headlines. They want people to fight. If people weren't fighting, there'd be nothing to talk about.
Well, that's it. I'm reading this next comment. There's a sequencing problem, though, Sarah. Redemption comes after repentance. Well, that's the thing. How come they always have to repent to please you? Maybe you're in the wrong. Maybe you need to repent to please them. You know, why does anybody have to repent at all? I mean, as long as they're not there doing shitty things to other people, what difference does it make?
So now they're trying to cancel, basically Twitter's trying to cancel Sarah Silverman for trying to be sane and saying sane things.
People try to cancel us all the time for trying to be rational, logical, and reasonable.
Here we've got Bree. An oversimplification to say people run towards hate groups only because they're looking for love ignores the reason these groups exist. That wasn't what she was saying. What she's saying...
It doesn't matter what she's saying. They're always going to talk around it, never to the point.
I appreciate your commitment to being wrong on just about every topic, but this is especially insidious. Civility in the face of fascism is farcical.
Okay, but here's the kicker. A lot of the people yelling about fascism are themselves acting like fascists. At the end of the day, you can boil it down to that. If you're behaving like a fascist, but you're saying you're on the side of good, your behavior is indicating otherwise. Fighting fascist behavior with fascist behavior does nothing but make you a fascist too. So stop using fascism like it's like, you know, like, oh, you're so above it when you're acting the exact same damn way.
Yeah, this is insane. You know, it's a right-wing dog whistle, path to redemption. No, it's not.
For every right-wing dog whistle, I give you a straw man point or story or article. There you go. I'm countering. I play straw man against your dog whistle card.
That needs to be like kickstarted. Straw man versus dog whistle. It's not about canceling anyone. It's about accountability and facing consequences for your actions.
Which I agree with. But some of these people that are on here yelling and screaming the most about don't ever have to be accountable for their actions. Because for some reason they're, you know, it's like, you know, you're always the hero and you're always the villain simultaneously, depending on who you talk to. You know, you could be both at the same time. Yeah.
So this is, I mean, again, Hollywood has a lot of skeletons in their closet, and I think Hollywood's kind of freaking out now. I actually watched that video, and it's weird because you look at, you know, Sarah Silverman's hot takes. A lot of times you're like, man, she's just caustic, whatever. But, you know, she's a comedian, right? But she actually seemed very genuine, I thought, in the video. And she's just like, people change. They should be allowed to change.
Right, and you might know them personally.
Yeah. And she's talking about her friend. She's like, he was literally a Nazi. And now he's not. And he's trying to help people get out of that. But we're basically, by canceling people, we're pushing them into the arms of groups that will take them that maybe are exactly where we don't want them, you know?
And that's just stupid. People can be who you are, as long as you're not being an asshole. It doesn't matter whether you're right or left or whatever. Just, I guess I say I don't judge people based on things like race, gender, sexual orientation, religion. What I base them on is their behavior they show me.
Yeah.
If they're out there doing a lot of good things and helping a lot of ways they can, trying to be a good example, a good person, but they might believe different than me, I'm not going to be like, oh, I hate them because they don't believe the same as me. Clearly, they might believe differently, but that they're still out there doing, doesn't mean they're a bad person. I'm just tired of this all or nothing hypocrisy bullshit. I'm just sick of it. And I think most of the people in the world are sick of it, which is why people are coming out against it, which is why they're doubling down on cancel culture.
Yeah, and it's a game for Twitter. Basically it's a game. We're gonna fuck with people's livelihoods, fuck with their lives, because we're, for the vast majority of people, we're nobodies, and we can take down somebody.
We're big people behind the keyboard.
Yeah, we're big people behind the keyboard, and that's what I think a lot of this is. But yeah, it's gonna be interesting to see what happens. I'm scared about what's gonna happen after the election, one way or the other.
It doesn't matter who wins. It's going to be a nightmare.
Yeah, but this tit for tat thing, it sounds bad, but it needs to end. It really needs to end. It's ridiculous. This country would be in such better shape if everybody would actually sit down and talk instead of just scream things on Twitter. I think we probably could work through a lot of our issues together as Americans, provided the people, actually want to be Americans, because we've got some people that don't like America.
Well, that's just it. That goes by the assumption that these people want America to be America, that they don't. The other day, they want to change everything about it to make it what they want.
Right.
So that's not going to work. But anyway, let's wrap this up, because it's going along, and I'm tired of talking about it.
Okay, so we're going to cancel the cancel culture video.
That's right.
Please subscribe for more pop culture news, views, and rants, and we'll talk later.
Bye.